Okay, we're going to wrap this little project up. If you'll notice, I did clean the float chamber out. The bright part you see in there is where there was pitting, or not pitting, but pieces so tall that I had to actually scrape the bottom of them and get it out. That part is ready. I did find a Welch plug right yonder. But I got it in there, and after I set it, I was not really. I still had questions. I was afraid it might leak. It just didn't seem like it was tight enough. So I did put just a layer of clear RTV over it. That ought to take care of it. Now we're going to move on to the float settings. When you set the float, I've already put as you can see, I've already put the needle and seat in there, and I've got the floats on here. You set the float setting with the gasket in place. Now, if you read the service manual, it'll say the magic number is 1 27/64. Well, you can, if you want to do that, you can get you one of these little machinist gizmos here. And I don't know, personally, when you get up to 27/64, my eyes are not that good anymore that I can see that readily. But if you go down farther in that same manual, you'll see where they say you can also use a 3/16 steel shaft or pin to set it with. Now I'm gonna take a break while I get that pin. Okay, so right there's a 3/16 in diameter steel pin, and all you do is set it underneath the floats there, and if it will just barely clear those floats, you're in business. Now, it's a lot easier to have that on hand than this and to read this. So I'd recommend you just go with this. If you have to tweak the floats, these are already fine from when I rebuilt it a couple years ago. You use small needle nose pliers and you gently bend it. You don't go back in here and start bending stuff. You bend it out here. And you're going to have to go one side and then the other because that's just the way it is. You'll go back and forth on it. Now, that means the float said, I'm ready to put this thing back together. I don't think you're going to be too interested in watching me put a bunch of screws in, so I'm going to pause it while I put the screws in, and we'll be right back. Okay, I've got the top and the bottom put back together. As you can see in there, I've put the idle tube in. Now I'm going to screw the top adjuster in. And on this, you want to screw that in till it's just snug right there. Don't force it, just right there. And then you want to turn it out 1.5 turns. So got a little mark right there. You can kind of judge that. So 1.5 turns. Okay, there's 1.5. All right, we'll leave that for now. We'll go to the bottom. We're going to put I've already got the jet in there in place. We're going to screw this bottom adjustment in. 1/2 inch or inch. Now, we're going to screw this one in till it just settles. Right there. Now, on this one, a long time ago, I drilled a cross hole in this and I put a pin in and I painted it red and blue so I could kind of get a better judge of how many turns I was doing and everything. So, but you want to bring this one out now, 2.5 turns. So there's 1, 2, 2.5 turns. Now, once you get this back together and on the car, this lower one is how you control your richness of your fuel mixture, lean or rich. If you pull your plugs or whatever and you see you're running rich, you turn this clockwise, you turn it in and that leans it out. If you're running lean, you counterclockwise, and that allows more fuel in, which makes it run richer. Pretty simple. Now, it's just something you'll just have to pull a plug or something, or watch your tailpipe and kind of keep an eye on it. One thing Butch Williams gave me a tip on, and I think it's good if we all follow it. At the end of this driving season, when you put your Crosleys to bed, you can screw this lower unit out. It will not affect the settings at all. What you do is you screw that out and you drain the gasoline out of the carburetor. And I recommend you drain it into a dark cloth, like a black or navy blue old t-shirt or something. And look for little white flakes and such as that. And what that is the that pot metal corrosion. You don't want that in your carburetor. So, at the end of the season, or even in the middle of the season, take it out and drain the carburetor and start over with it. It's really good, though, for long winter storage. You don't want to leave old gas in here. The top one, that's your idle. That's just something that's you just have to play with that until you get the best performance out of it. You got to remember about a Tillotson. You must use the choke. It does not have an accelerator pump like a Carter. By pulling the choke closed, you're actually creating a vacuum venturi there that acts as a accelerator and pulls fuel into the airstream. So you must use the choke with a Tillotson carburetor. The other thing I think I wanted to go over on the Tillotson carburetor, it is a very simple carburetor, but sometimes simplicity will trick us into thinking that, it's not the carburetor, it's something else. You really need to you got to think simple with a Tillotson. I have seen so many issues over the years with Crosley engines, and almost every one is fuel related. Rarely is it electric. It's usually fuel related. One more thing about the carburetors, I'm fortunate that I live in an area where right here in our town, I have 3 filling stations that I can get E0, or what you would call alcohol-free gas. I do not use any ethanol in any of my Crosleys, my small engines, my weed eater, my chainsaw, my mower, nothing. I use E0. The ethanol is hard on small engines. Yeah, they'll tell you that they're rated for E0. Or for ethanol. Don't buy into that. Just if you can get it, if you can't get it, that's one thing. But if you can get it, use it. I have not had a vapor lock issue in a Crosley now for almost 20 years. When I got away from ethanol and started using non-ethanol gas, my vapor lock problems just went away. The ethanol boils at a much lower temperature, and it creates the vapor lock. So if you can get it, by all means use it. We're in an area where we're just down the road. We got the 2 largest lakes in Indiana. We got several smaller lakes. It's an agricultural area. You have farmers with a lot of small engines and old equipment and stuff like that. So we have the E0 available to us. Locally, just around the corner here, is the Murphy's gas station. You find them out in front of Walmart's. You can check there first. I know ours has E0. The Country Mark station here in town, which is, in the old days, you would have called that Farm Bureau. They have E0, and there's a Marathon station that has E0. If you're anywhere near a boating center like the big lakes and stuff, that's a good place to look. A lot of times at the marina, at the lake, they'll be selling E0 gas too. So it costs a little more than regular gas, but it's well worth it for the troubles you don't have to put up with these things. Well, that is the Tillotson rebuild. Just take your time with it. Not really hard at all to do. Look at the service manual. The settings I said here, like the 2.5 out, that came from Chuck Kohler. Some of you may not have known Chuck. Chuck was a Tillotson guru, and he came up with the idea of the main jet here at the bottom. 2.5 turns out from bottom, and the top one 1.5 turns out from bottom. That's an extremely good place to start with these. So do that. The manual is not quite like that. Just do what Chuck says, and you'll be fine with it. All right, that's the rebuild. Thanks for looking. Click like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.